So no mai, welcome to our NDF online session, empowering rangatahi to explore technology with our fantastic presenter, Bowie from Tūhura Tech. Ko Claire Lanyon tako ingoa he Associate Director, Collections and Digital Aho I te Waipapa Taumatarau, University of Auckland. I'm here as NDF Chair today. So I will kick us off with karakia. Whaia ki te uru tapanui o tānei. Tānei te waiora, tānei te pukenga, tānei te tukurangi. Puta ki te whaiao, ki te ao marama, tu te nanga, tu ka maranga. Te tuhi te rārama. E noho, e matara nei. E rongo, whakaerihia, ake ki runga, kia tina, huie, tai kie. All right, so before we hand over to Leon, just a few housekeeping notes. So to allow us to keep the session running smoothly, please can you keep yourself muted and your cameras off for the time being, just so that we can keep the focus on the speaker. The session is going to be recorded, so you'll have a chance to watch it and share it with your colleagues once it's available. We'll make sure that we email you over the next few days with the links. So today, you might have already seen the email that there are going to be a good opportunity for questions and comments. So please use the chat feature if any questions come to you as Leon is going through his initial introduction. But we will have the opportunity to switch our cameras on, put our mics back on, and have a good kōrero between us all. So without further ado, we are super excited to welcome Leon Bowie to as our presenter today. Leon is the founder of Tūhura Tech. He is a tinkerer, experienced in programming, a hacker and educator with a focus on empowering the next generation with a curiosity towards technology. Tūhura Tech is a not-for-profit based in Te Wanganui-a-Tara, Wellington, but now operating in Porirua, Lower Hutt, and has mahi spanning Aotearoa. Leon has been involved with technology education and outreach for the past 7 years, from running code clubs, coaching robotics teams, organizing competitions, and everything in between. So I'll hand over to you, Leon. Reminder, there's a recording underway.
Thank you, kia ora koutou. This makes it really easy. I've got a whole slide for my introduction. I don't have to do it anymore. So to kind of jump into it, yeah, Tūhura Tech. We're a technology education trust. We work with youth, primarily aged 8 up to 18. So kind of the full range of, if you're in school, we most likely do something. It's focused on free and accessible technology education, which means there is no barrier to what you're able to get involved with. We don't care if the whānau has a computer at home or not. We don't care if you're in a high or low decile area. It's all focused on providing those opportunities to you, regardless of where you are, which is great. And me, my kind of introduction's been done. I co-founded Tūhura Tech. I play around with anything in technology and do a whole bunch of things on the side. I do a whole bunch of dancing just to kind of mix it up and not be doing tech 100% of my time. So what exactly do we do? Free access to education. So some of you will be very familiar with Code Club and the amazing initiative that the Raspberry Pi Foundation runs for that, and that DFA runs for across the moku. Think of that, but with trained staff and try and bring that with more hands-on sessions. And it's going, let's provide them with opportunities, but it's driven by them. It's a Montessori-style education approach, and I should also make sure to check for typos in my slides, but that would be way too smart. And what we do is we go, what are you interested in? We know a lot of them aren't interested in technology. You've got people coming from a sports background background who they're playing rugby. We've got people coming from a fashion background. We've got people from a history background. And we're going, we want to teach you education. Well, we want to teach you technology. And at that point, we can't go, here is Scratch, learn X, Y, and Z, or here's Python, and we're going to teach you how to build this basic system. It doesn't work. It's not engaging. It's not fun. And these are kids. At the end of the day, if it's not fun, they're not going to engage. They're going to see right through it and just kind of disengage immediately, which is the last thing that we want. So it's focused on those hands-on approaches where we're working on projects with them that they come up with. So if they want to build a game, we're building a game. Do we know if it's a 2D game, a 3D game? We have no idea. And it's very much adapting from that to what they want to do. And we partner with industry to be able to do this so that if we're teaching something, it is a hands-on, it's applicable, and it's not us making up of, here's how to do this. We can connect them up with the industry partners and go, here's game dev, because we've got Pickpock and Dinosaur Polo Club, who are 2 game dev companies, and they've worked with us to develop this. And they're going to come into your session and kind of walk you through it. And we do a bunch of other things, do workshops, do resources. But we can talk about that another time, because for now we're talking about GLAM and all the wonders of technology. Pretty much you all use it. Unfortunately, since about the 80s, everyone has had technology in some aspect. You've got your library systems, you've got screens and displays of your museums or galleries. You've got your archiving systems. You've got your 3D models, especially in museums now. You've got a lot of 3D models going in. Libraries are now starting to get an increasing number of maker spaces. What we're starting to get is this technology is everywhere, both in the, hey, we've got a 3D printer, this is cool, someone can use with, or even if it's not, it's the backend system to manage your website. So whatever you've got there, and you've got all of this happening, and suddenly this can be engaging. It's not just we can only use the cool, fun things. So what I want to kind of walk through is kind of 3 areas that we've got where you can easily engage youth, no matter what their background is, with technology, but without going, hey, we're doing technology for the sake of technology. We're doing technology because we're looking at X. We're looking at this thing that's related to what we do, and we're just using technology to explore it. And out of that, you now have this interest of technology and everything else. So to kind of get started, we've got programming. If any of you have ever run a programming workshop before or a code club, you've used Scratch. Scratch is great. Scratch is awesome. People move on from Scratch very quickly. We've got lots of other things. We've got the Raspberry Pi Foundation over in the UK. They have an immense collection of resources. Those are things that you can jump into science. So they've got programs that run the International Space Station. If you have anyone interested in space or science, you've got projects there. You've got IoT sensors. So especially for museums and you're doing anything on climate change, you can build an IoT project with them for about $30 per kit, which is surprisingly affordable. You also have all of your internal technology systems. You will have an internal tech team, whether it's one person or a whole team. They will have systems that they work on, whether that's the WordPress system that powers your entire website, or your 3D printers, or your e-signage displays that you've got showing your cool exhibits. These are all things that you can engage with. Kids can build things for them. It might sound scary, it might sound like, oh, what they can do is not possible, but you can hook kids up with these projects directly. If you've got an e-signage system, you can very, very easily get kids building little animations to run on that, to show off your exhibits. Or if you're in a gallery, to kind of interact with your gallery exhibits. This sounds really scary, but is really easy to do. We've got year 5 and 6s, so age 8 and 9s, already kind of building projects that can interact directly with your commercial systems that, well, I say commercial as in the systems that you're using to kind of show off what you have. And they're able to do this without breaking things. They'll do this in a safe way, not because we know what we're doing, but because we've given them some trust and given them opportunities to explore it. And that's really kind of the big thing that the whole empowering youth comes from of, you have 1,000,001 systems. You've got 1,000,001 uses of technology. The goal is to engage them with it, get them some programming with what you have, get them looking through as a library system. Suddenly you've got this immense collection of books and covering lots and lots of different genres. your system has a way to search. You can build things on top of your library system. Or more importantly, you can get kids to build things on top of your library system to go, hey, here's all of our favorite teen fantasy books or our favorite kids books, and you can vote on them for favorites. You can build that system, or they can build that system very easily. And suddenly they've got a hands-on project that's engaged with what you're doing. But we don't stop at programming. Well, if I go to the next slide, we've got Wearable Tech. This is one of my favorite ones to do. This is also one of the ones that everyone looks at me like I'm crazy because it costs so much money. Turns out it doesn't. We've got World of Wearable Arts here. It's incredible. It's absolutely awesome. If you haven't been to see it, you absolutely should. It's fashion, but also a lot of it's technology. A lot of the World of Wearable Arts have technology in them, whether that's lights or different animations going through. You can do this. You can do an entire Wearable Tech project where you're building a hat that lights up, or you're getting a blazer from an op shop and you're putting lights through it, or just a tie that will light up based on volume so you can tell when it's too noisy. You can do all of this for under 100 NZD, and this is per kid that they can then take away. And also, this isn't technology. You're not selling this as a technology pitch. You're telling this as a fashion pitch. You're telling this as a hands-on making. Let's learn how to sew. Let's learn all of these different things that aren't technology that might be interesting to you. We're just going to happen to build technology into it. And as a side effect, you're going to learn all of this technology coming out. We did with Self-Run Intermediate School earlier this year. They had a school production. So we worked with 20 of them to build wearable tech outfits that would light up depending on how they moved for a dance exhibit. This was never sold as technology to them. They came out of it knowing how to program, knowing how to solder, knowing a whole bunch of technology skills, but they didn't do it because it was technology. They did it because they got to create cool outfits. And that's really kind of the secret to what I'm putting forward here, is we want to engage them at that point. And then we've got the easy one. A lot of libraries across the country are starting to build makerspaces. I know we've got a couple here in the Greater Wellington region. I know there's some stuff happening up in Auckland and Christchurch. If there's stuff happening elsewhere, that is incredible. If you run a library, you want to make a space, trust me, they're absolutely worth it. But makespaces have different things. If you're a museum, there is most likely a 3D printer somewhere. It's most likely used by some of your researchers, or would be used by some of your team that sit behind looking after your exhibits for different stands or different things to show off. I've started to see an increasingly large number of 3D prints and models coming to galleries for art installations as well, and coming into lots of different areas. It's affordable, it's easy to use, and it's not just the, hey, I'm going to print a cool little dinosaur, as cool as little dinosaurs are, and I have a couple thousand of them, so absolutely they are cool. But you can start engaging them a lot earlier with this. We've got different projects that you can easily do with them. We've got, if you're in a library, you've got holders for books. Suddenly all of your bookshelves, you can have 3D printed book holders with have cool designs that the kids have made. Or you can print bookmarks. If you're in a museum and you're doing a project on dinosaurs, because I've opened that can of worms now, get them to design dinosaurs and print them out. Then they've got something hands-on engaging. You can combine it with research on, what are we building? We're building a Tyrannosaurus Rex. We're building a Petrodactyl. What sort of dinosaur are we doing? We can combine it with the research so that when they're designing that model, it is actually related to what it is. And you're no longer just doing technology. It's now a much wider piece. And funnily enough, you'll find you'll get a lot higher engagement. Because it's hands-on, because it's doing technology that's actually related to something, you will get people who will say they're not interested in tech, who will say it's not related at all, and suddenly they want to do this because it's got real-world applications to it, and it's got a lot more different things that you can do. And that's kind of really the secret of what I've got here is you need to engage them not on technology, but with technology. And that's taking what you have and just using technology to explore it. And yeah, it's a relatively short kind of intro from me, mostly because I want to jump into discussions on what are you thinking, what have you tried, what have you got in different places, and has it worked, has it not, and if not, why, and how can we kind of make it better? So this is when I'm jumping over to the discussion side on what do we have, what do we want to explore, what questions do we have. In the meantime, we do have a website, we do have contact details, we do a lot of this. All our programs are free. If you have questions, want advice, or happen to be near the Wellington region, or want to try your luck to convince you to come outside of it, we would love to have a chat to you. So yeah, I'm just going to open it all up to wider discussions.
Wonderful, thank you, Leon. So please, if you are comfortable, please do switch on your camera so that we can see your beautiful faces. We can hear your voices. And if you are not comfortable doing that, please do feel free to pop questions into the chat, and I'm happy to read those out for you. But perhaps I will kick off on my burning question. What's the kind of most surprising or inspiring project you've seen Rangatahi lead?
Oh, I think my favorite comes back to the Wearable Tech, because it's one of those of the people we got in it. So at the school running at Swiss, we had a lot of boys engaging. Really easy. If you want to get boys into tech, say the word tech and you're full. It's a no-brainer. But we were like, this is great, but tech's a lot wider than that. And so we kind of did that whole wearable tech element, and we didn't actually mention the word technology initially. We were kind of like, we're building cool costumes with lights for the production. And we had a whole bunch of girls jump in. And I can say that they had the coolest outfits by a mile. And they've all now come back to stay and to do other bits of technology, and just kind of their media engagement and going, this is actually something that I can do. This is not just only for boys, I can't ever do technology. It became real to them through something that they were already interested in. And I know there's a lot of stereotypes behind girls interested in fashion and all of that, but it worked. It engaged them, and we've got a couple of them now building video games to publish, which is just incredible.
Wonderful. So you're really providing experiences that kind of meet the students where they're at and what they're really interested in. It's fabulous. Okay, so any questions from the participants? I'm just going to sit here for a little wee while. I do have a bunch of questions because one of my passion areas, but please jump in.
It's always intimidating, they talk to ask questions on what you've done. But yeah, if you've ever tried a program when it hasn't worked, I'm happy to kind of just have a brief discussion of that. Or it has worked and kind of want to take on how to grow it and expand it. Because I go back to everything I've mentioned, and while yes, we've got a talented team of staff who do this for a living, nothing we do is that special. This is all stuff that you can do regardless of how much interest in technology or knowledge that you have. You can relate this very easily to what you have going on. And you already have the expertise in-house. There's no great secrets in terms of you have to be an expert programmer who's been doing this for 10 years to be able to run this.
In terms of like, how would you kind of get started though? Because I would imagine that you would need some level of equipment, or you know, what would you recommend there?
If you're getting started, have absolutely no experience in technology before, and have no one to support you, I stand by, run a code club. It's run by the Raspberry Pi Foundation over in the UK. There's Digital Futures here in New Zealand who support it. It's completely free to run. There is nothing you pay for, and they provide all the resources. All you need is to turn up for an hour once a week and provide an open space. And kind of that's age 8 up to 12 is kind of the main target age range for that. And you've now got something that you can get started on. And from there, you will very quickly be able to build out into these other opportunities. And so that's the easy way to get started. It's an hour once a week, and code clubs have pretty much always have demand. I haven't ever seen a code club that's had no one turn up to it.
That sounds good. And I would imagine that you don't necessarily, as a facilitator, need to have a great deal of understanding in technology either, right? Because you can learn at the same time, which is one of the beauties of what you're proposing.
Exactly. And what you'll actually find is that the kids in your session will end up teaching you. They're going to have a lot more free time, they're going to have a lot more interest, a lot more passion, and they're going to go beyond where your ability is, regardless. No matter how good you are, they'll go beyond your ability. And then they'll take you with them. They'll take you with them to be able to explore this. It's not just by yourself. We've got staff who have published video games before, and we've got kids publishing better video games than them. To the point that they're going, how on earth do you do this? I've done this for years as a job, and now you're doing all of this. How? That's just the nature of it if you can get them excited. And that's the whole empowering them through technology. You're relating it to what they're interested in. It doesn't need to be a school setting where it's PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just keeping an eye on the chat here. I'm just going to keep hammering you with questions if you don't mind. But honestly, participants, please do jump in if you do have any questions, because you will get sick and bored of listening to me. So I'm wondering, like, throughout all of your experiences in working with these students and all of the different organizations as well, have there been any surprising moments that changed the approach that you have, are now taking?
Yeah. So originally it was very much code clubs of resources, go for it. And that was great. It's a model that's worked amazingly. And then what ended up happening is, as they got older, especially when they reached kind of their age 12 mark, or they've been with Code Club for a couple of years, or they're beyond age 12, they kind of turn around and go, cool, I'm bored. What now? And there's nothing that really exists for that. And for me, I was like, oh, well, cool. I'll just throw you at bigger resources. I'll throw you at the documentation for larger libraries and all of that. That doesn't work. Don't throw them into the big wide world of tech. Don't throw them at a free code club, free code camp course to learn something. They're not going to engage, because at that point it's learning for the sake of learning, not because they're actually interested. And kind of that was the big thing that drives a lot of how we do it now, is it needs to be engaging for them throughout no matter how difficult of a topic you're going. You can teach the mathematics behind machine learning, so calculus, at year 10, if you've got them interested. We're doing that right now in one of our sessions, but it's you're not learning because you've told them this is what they have to learn. It needs to be relatable, and that's kind of where it all comes in. Of no matter what you're doing, you have to relate to something they're actually interested in. Which for all of you, you've got great topics already. You work in amazing spaces, so you've got a million things you can relate them to, and you can relate it to technology. I'm a massive classics and history nerd, and if you want to study ruins of Roman temples, you're 3D modeling the entire thing. You're scanning it, and suddenly that's all software, that's all technology. So you've got anyone who's interested in classical studies, whether it's Greek, Roman, Egyptian, or any of your other areas, you've got a ton of technology areas you can engage them on. You just don't have to say that they're learning tech, they're learning something else. Questions? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I will read it out for the video. So the question is from Ben, and it's, at my library we have a craft cutter, and I was wondering if you had any experience with running programming with this technology. They've done things like bookmarks, but are there other ideas that you might have?
Give me 1 second. I think I recognize the name, but I'm going to very quickly search it up just to make sure it is what I think it is
Yeah,
before I answer.
I think it's one of those things where you can cut out like the
Oh, it's these. Yeah, these are
yeah.
fun. I like these. These are fun. Yeah, bookmarks, absolutely awesome. They're great. They work for maybe 3 weeks, and then suddenly you've got everyone bored. So like that's where it's really cool. One thing that I've seen done really well is you can kind of layer different things in front of each other and kind of build a whole scene with it. And then you can kind of teach them a lot more around digital design and how you're doing layers. So if you've ever played around with Photoshop or Inkscape or any of that, you have layers of different things. But instead of combining into one, actually do the physical layers as different things that you've cut out. And you can have really cool different designs through that. The other one is you can relate it back to areas that they're interested in. And instead of going, here's a bookmark that we're making, you can make it different things of, hey, I really, really like, it's a fun topic in New Zealand at the moment. I really, really like kind of all of our natural beauty, and kind of go like, let's try and take design elements out and design things through that to kind of be related to it. And you can jump in with other programs as well, especially if you've got environmentally conscious of, we're making this kind of to show off this cool thing that's getting damaged, or this historical thing. It's that you've got bookmarks and it's great, but it's really just trying to widen it from just bookmarks to, here's something else that we can use for it. The circuit craft cut is a little limited with how many things you can do just because of what it does cut. But yes. Just want to jump up to Bianca's one because we missed that one.
Oh, apologies. Thank you. So Bianca is interested in any other ideas on how to get girls to feel like they want to join a tech or coding class. And are there also barriers to be removed related to how comfortable the space is?
Absolutely, there are barriers related to it. Like, there's no question about that. There's a reason why our numbers in tech of women are atrocious. There are absolutely barriers. There's two kind of main approaches that I've seen that work really well, and we've done both of them. The first is run a girls-only program, because then it kind of requires that here's a safe space of just girls, the mentors are girls, are female as well, and that kind of gives you a lot of options, just because it's this dedicated safe space. And then you kind of jump into when it's not a coding club. Like, coding club has a lot of connotations. By the time they're really ready, it's a boys thing. You call it something else. We're exploring something. We're jumping into something different. Like, and that's kind of the wearable tech or the design or the, hey, we're going to build all of this that's related to you. Work out what their interests are and just weave technology into it. You kind of have to just be a little bit subtle. It's not the, hey, we're doing tech. That's going to drive them away. It's, hey, we're doing this cool thing that we know you already like. We're just going to happen to use technology. And 6 weeks later, you're going to like tech. And it's kind of the big barrier. And it's also making sure they have some role models. You've got the Tech Woman program, which is great. Lots of stuff there. So absolutely reach out to them, get some role models in to do different things. It's a lot of it comes down to, and this also applies to Marion Pacifica as well, of tech has this connotation of it's middle-class white male, because predominantly it is. So don't sell it as that. Sell it as, we're exploring something that you're already interested in. We're just going to happen to use technology. And if you're subtle, they'll get interested, because now you've related it to them rather than just going, it's coding. But yeah, I can talk a lot on this. I'm not going to do a ton on it, but feel free to email me and I can give you a lot of information on this space.
Awesome. Thank you. So Sophie's got one, which is, have you got any examples or case studies of partnering with other organizations to support their mission?
Yes, we do. We're a charity, and one of the core things that we do is we collaborate, or we partner. I don't like doing things by ourselves because we don't have the knowledge to do it. While my background might be in the tech sector in a specific area, and the same with a lot of our staff, we're either no longer in the tech sector or we're not engaged as much. We're out of date. And we've got other groups that know their fields much more than us. And the main way that you do it is it's just a conversation with them going, what do you do? What do you focus on? And then it's that, what are our bits that we've got that work really nicely? And then them take the lead on parts of it as well. You don't always have to be in control of the program. Absolutely, there are certain bits that you should be. And especially if you're the organization hosting it, you've got your police checking all of that, absolutely do that. But it's what you're delivering, it needs to be a collaboration. And I see lots of organizations across the country go, hey, we're partnering with this group. It's still us though, don't worry, we're doing everything by ourselves. Just that group's gonna have one person come along. It needs to be a lot more than that. It needs to be an actual partnership. So for example, if we're talking in the nonprofit space, we work a lot with KiwiBots, who runs all the robotics competitions. Michelle, who runs that, she's awesome. If you have robots, please enter the robotics competitions. I can't say enough about it, but we'll often come along and we'll co-run sessions with them where we've got, hey, they've got the robotics experience, but we know how to really engage kids. And you can just kind of do that there. Or from the technology side, we've done a bit with things like the Koha platform. If you're running a library, it's a New Zealand open source library system. I have never worked on it. I am most likely not going to. It's not an area of technology I'm particularly interested in. But the team behind it are. And they can come along and talk about it. And they can engage on it really well. And at that point, we're just there for the engagement with the kids. They're going to do all their bits amazingly. And kind of that's the big thing to kind of be aware of is you don't need to do everything. It needs to be a collaboration. Is kind of the main statement I'd make on partnering with other organizations is it's a collaboration. You've just got a shared outcome. And you go from there.
Fabulous. So Dave's got a question that is really focusing on whether you've had any pushback from students or teachers around like using open source software, and how involved do the teachers or other technical staff within the schools get with your programming?
Yeah, it's a great question. It can sometimes be controversial just about it, but reception from kids is great. We've never had pushback. We provide loan devices. They all run Linux, which is an open source it's an open source operating system similar to Windows. We run on all of our loan computers. We've actually got a lot of our kids installing Linux on their computers now at home to play with it. So from that standpoint, never had any pushback from kids. The fact that we're using Blender, which is the best 3D modeling software in the world, being better than proprietary. Cool, game dev, we're using Godot instead of Unity or Unreal. It's as good, if not better in a lot of cases. There's liberal open source options to be able to explore it. And actually we've found that because we're using it, it's more accessible. It means that the kids can go home and on their computers, they can run it. They don't need to pay a $2,000 a year license to access Fusion 360 to do 3D modeling when they can use FreeCAD at home. There's not going to be this massive barrier for them. And yes, if they want to in industry use Fusion 360, they can go for that. We're never stopping them at that barrier. But from them, they just want to explore. They really don't care what the tool is. And if you can make it so they can run the tool at home, it's even better. So we use a lot of open source stuff there for that reason. Schools and kind of the organizations we work with, slightly more complicated. We've had a whole bunch of pushback from teachers in the past around, hey, you're teaching GIMP and Inkscape instead of teaching all of the Adobe suite. And we're like, yes. However, it is the exact same approaches. Yes, it's a slightly different interface, but it's the same approach at the end of the day. And we know they can run it at home. And so from that, it just gives us those options there. But we've also had some schools that have jumped massively behind supporting it as well and have ended up embracing it. So it's kind of been a mix of different groups and kind of their confidence in working with it. Yeah, but you absolutely can. I would recommend, especially from an education standpoint, if you have control, play with open source if it's the best, if you can, just because it provides that more accessible approach that you can do.
Excellent, thank you. So this is related. What are your thoughts on whether you'd like to see the Ministry of Education look at replacing proprietary tools with open source options?
Well, I can basically comment on the statement of digital sovereignty, and the data hosted in New Zealand would be great. Currently, proprietary tools don't offer that. So from there, if that's something that we believe is important, which we at least do as an organization, that kind of leaves it as a no-brainer. I would love for Ministry of Education to even just start acknowledging all the open source options there. In terms of a wider piece on how they're going to do procurement, I wouldn't say. That jumps very much into starting to be political territory, and we're non-political entities, so I can't jump too much into it. But absolutely, the tools are good enough.
Excellent. So if there was like just one barrier to rangatahi engaging with tech that you could get rid of right away, what would it be?
Access to internet and to devices. So there's DECA, which is an advocacy group that does a lot in this space. If you haven't ever heard of them, you should reach out. But it's that there's still a lot of whānau, even after COVID, when we went remote primarily, who do not have a stable, reliable internet connection. It's really hard to engage with technology without the internet. Or even beyond that, there's a lot of whānau who they have one device at home. They have one computer, which is there with the mum or the dad. It's kind of their work device. They're not going to let the kid play around with that. So that's kind of the other barrier of giving them just something to be able to play with. It's why we have to bring all of our stuff out ourselves and provide all those devices. But kind of that would be the biggest barrier, is just being able to play with some devices. You don't have to have $1 million to do it. A lot of our equipment is donated. A lot of our laptops are over 10 years old. They work still. And it gives them enough to be able to have a play around with. And from there, they can work out what actually they do need. But it's just access at the end of the day. And it's then also having someone in their region coming to them. Like, we operate Greater Wellington. I can run 1 million programs out of Wellington City. But Poirua is never coming out to Wellington City for a tech program. It's not going to happen, which is why we go to them. And it's why all of our programs are run in the local community of sometimes they can't come to you. Sometimes you just have to go to them.
Excellent, thank you. So that was kind of a good segue to Warwick's question, which is some of the products that you've talked about, like maybe you didn't talk about it, but the Adafruit Tech is awesome, but can be expensive. So yeah, what do you do there? Do you have sponsors? Do you give the products away, reuse them? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, great question. Firstly, if kids want to take things home, we pretty much go to parents going, hey, this is all the equipment costs. A cohort covering the cost of equipment would be great. And then you can take it home. There is never a requirement that they have to take it home, but so a lot of it is reused for that reason. So that's kind of the main approach when they want to take things home, is it say, hey, the equipment you're taking home has a cost. We're not going to charge you for the staff, but for the equipment costs, we want to be able to run these programs. And absolutely, Adafruit Tech is awesome and is expensive. I can attest to this. I love it. It costs a lot of money. But we're starting to see a lot more cheaper options. If you play around with Arduino a lot, the Raspberry Pi Pico, which came out 2 or 3 years ago, it's $4 in New Zealand. That is incredibly cheap for a microcontroller, and it's more powerful than Arduino and runs Python, so you don't have to teach C. It's great. There are cheaper options. There's always your million things available from other stores. AliExpress has a lot of random cheap electronics, varying levels of quality. So please test it before you buy and run a program on it. It can end badly. But absolutely, it can be accessible. And I go back to the Wearable Tech number of 100 NZD. That was with full Adafruit equipment. That was 100 NZD with just Adafruit. So it's actually come down quite a bit in pricing. So yeah, it's giveaway if they want to cover the cost. Otherwise, we end up reusing it. And yeah, kind of just the other question on funding models. We're a charitable trust. We rely on donations and support. So it's a lot on, we have the local council here in Wellington. Wellington Z gives us a lot of support, as does Hutt City. And Poirua City Council give us a whole bunch of funding, which is great. I'm incredibly grateful. And we've had a lot of corporates jump in to support us as well, along with parents who will just donate. So for us, that's very much our approach, and it's not something we're willing to sacrifice. It has to be free, otherwise you've got groups who can't do things.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question now, which is from Anya. So the crux of the question is really, do you have any suggestions on how we could better reach low-income families for events like she ran at Tech Week?
Yeah. Like, our entire secret is we run it in the community center. We don't advertise it outside the community center. And this is, of course, stereotyping. You'll find a lot of your lower income whānau will engage with your local community centers, but if they have money, they don't. So suddenly that's a really easy way to be able to filter out, is it's by where you advertise. And if you're running it in the community center, that's already the space where lower income whānau are going for support or for the local community anyway. So engaging there has a lot better connections. It's not perfect, but it's a really good way to do it. The other way that we do it is you run 2 programs if you have funding. One for the people who know what they're doing. They have a 3D printer at home. They've got a whole bunch of funds and they can do awesome things. You run one for them, and that's the advanced program. And then a junior program for people who don't. And then that's a really nice way to filter out as well. But also it does require you do have extra funds. But yeah, in terms of how to reach them, go into the local community and engage them there. Don't advertise it on like your website of your library or your museum. Don't advertise it there. Advertise it in the local community directly to the groups, or go into the schools and go, hey, especially in your low income areas, go, hey, we'd like to run this just for this group. And just advertise it to them. If someone else comes along, cool. But that's kind of the secret. It's where you advertise. And you have to do targeted advertising, or at least targeted outreach for groups that don't typically engage. And your community leaders will know who those groups are and how to reach them. It's just talking to them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for sharing all of your insights. It's been a very interesting call. Thank you to everybody who's joined us. And please, after the session, once you receive your links to the recording, please do share with your colleagues. And we will have them available on YouTube. So if you have signed up to our newsletter, you will have heard that we've got some online sessions coming up. So the next one is Exploring AI at Te Papa with Courtney Johnson and Adrian Kingston from Te Papa. And the following one is Getting Started with Digital Preservation with Tim Barnett from Auckland Council Libraries. If you are keen on getting involved with NDF, we also have board elections coming up in November. So we do know that 5 board seats are going to be available. So it's a great time to join the board and put your flavor on what this wonderful organization looks like now and into the future. So without further ado, I will say a final thank you to Leon for joining us, and I will close us off with a karakia. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia ki te urutapanui o tāne. Kia wātia, kia māma, te nākau, te tinana, te wairo e te ara tangata. Koia rā e rongo whakairia ake ki runga, kia tina, huie, tai kie. Kia ora. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Excellent to see you.